Hello, spooky fans. It's time for your favorite sideshow of the day with your host, yours truly, Samar Hex D'Angelo, and welcome back to Unholy Encounters, where we dive into the dark, the dazzling, and the downright divine. Tonight, we have an absolute legendary guest. She's not only a favorite of mine that I love deeply, but she's the queen with impeccable comedic timing, a Broadway-style drag performance, a masterful lip syncer, and an all-around superstar known from coast to coast. She's a force in Florida and beyond, and I've been waiting for this moment. Please give your warm welcome. It's the one, the only, April Fresh.
That's me. I did it wrong. Let's try that again. Hey, how are we doing? It's good to see you.
I'm doing pretty good today. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a brunch this morning and I have a show tonight. And so this is our midday interview, which is very nice.
I thank you for joining me to it's gonna be on night, so thank you for joining me today.
Perfect. Perfect. Good.
So honestly, people, just look at this icon that I have to my left. Look at all of her.
Just
Can
look at
you
it all.
can you tell me what this ensemble is giving? Like, what's the story behind today's look?
This ensemble, well, truth be told, because this is just a YouTube and it's just from here up, I'm not wearing any pants underneath here. You're welcome. But this is actually a little dress that Gidget Galore made for me. Um, and it's one of those that always goes in my drag bag because it's easy to throw on. It's sparkly. It looks good on my body when I'm padded. So it's one of those you don't have to iron it or steam it either. So just crumple it up, throw it in your bag, and you've got an extra just in case outfit.
You can literally wear it anytime, is what she's saying.
Correct. Correct. Exactly.
So, April, you are a true veteran in the art of drag. Like people have known you from long, long time. You
That is a
performed
good statement.
everywhere. Started a national pageant and somehow managed to never take a break. What
Mhm.
has the journey like been for you?
Well, who wants to take a break? I like to work. I don't like to sit home. That doesn't appeal to me. I want to work as much as possible while I can because someday I might not be able to. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, but I have been around for a good minute or two, especially in the Central Florida area. And do you want me to tell you about that? I can.
We are gonna get into that a little later. We are gonna
Perfect.
get into that how you started.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So drag is a labor of love, but it also takes a village. You receive love and support from not only your fans, but your fellow, as we call them in the drag scene, sisters or fellow queens.
Yes.
How does it feel to have that kind of sisterhood and admiration from within the community?
It's incredible. I am certainly older than a lot of the girls that I work with, and yet no one ever makes me feel like the old lady in the group. And that has always been a blessing because I don't always see that happening with some of the other girls, you know. So it's really cool. Another thing I particularly like is I would like to work at this gig with these girls, and then at this gig over here with these other girls. And I like to have what do they say? Your hand in many pots.
Yes.
That way, I know a lot of girls that get into one particular bar or nightclub, and then that's the only place you ever see them. So I kind of like to, and am blessed to be able to, work at multiple venues. It's very, very, very exciting to me.
I think what I like about you too, because every time one of my best friends slash sisters, Mystery, has you at mannequins,
Yes.
you always have me laughing. I don't know how, you always have me laughing over there.
Good. I love that. Well, comedy is my forte, or
Yes.
one of them. So, yeah. So I love it, and I like going to the different venues and I like meeting new girls and new entertainers. And I don't understand why, especially in this society, there are so many people that aren't um, kind. Because
Hmm.
a kindness is easy, and it only helps because then it increases your fan base if you're kind. So I think when people come into a new venue with an attitude or something, it's kind of cutting off their nose to spite their face a little bit,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
think I think what like I always got told from like Shree and I took from you too, because I know we had this discussion before.
Yeah.
Kindness, kindness, and actually making sure that you're there for the girls even when you don't have that performance goes a long way.
Yes. And Miss Treehaga is a perfect example of another person who just she's all inclusive. She exudes kindness. It's just something you don't always get, and when you do get it, it's very refreshing.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
So you're an absolute staple in Florida, the drag scene and beyond. What's been the most surreal and unforgettable moment that you can take away from your career?
Um, oh goodness. Well, I would say being the originator of the Miss Comedy Queen pageant. I'm sure we'll
Mhm.
talk more on that, but that's a big thing here locally. But another thing, it was 2023, I won the Wave Award for favorite local drag queen, and that was exciting because it um is voted on by the people, and was quite an honor, and that was the first time I had been nominated and I won. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I've also won Best Brunch before. So that's been pleasing. But then on a national level, what made me kind of the most um the thing that I will remember the most
Mhm.
I was it was during COVID and I was just sitting home watching TV and doing online shows and stuff. But I'm a fan of Kelly Ripa. So I watched Kelly and Ryan at the time every morning, and I saw that on their website they needed um at-home trivia dancers. So I got in drag and I filmed a little clip and submitted it, and the next day I got a call saying, hey, you filled this out as April Fresh, but just in case, hypothetically, that we put you on, we're going to need your legal name. And so I submitted all that. And the very next Monday, I was the dancer of the day. And then because of course I campaigned, because that's what you
Mhm.
do. I won Dancer of the Week, and I got a check for $500. But most importantly, I got to be I have bragging rights for being on live with Kelly and Ryan. You can
And
check
that
that out on YouTube if you Google search that.
and that's another part that I want to get into before we take our break. I do want to get into Infernal Revelations, talking about all of the stuff that we just talked about.
Yeah.
So it's
Uh,
time for what I like to call Inferno Revelations. You ready?
oh, yes.
So you talked about the favorite local brunch award. That was in 2021, correct?
2021 or 2022, one of those.
So what was that? What is it about your comedy brunches that makes them unique?
So it's a drag brunch. I started it in 2018. It's been at this point at four different venues. It started at Parliament House, and then when they closed, it went to Southern Nights for a while. It's been at the 808. It's been all over. And it's monthly, every other month, kind of depends on the season. But it's a drag brunch that is 100% comedy based. So it's all comedic numbers. And I think that's important because one, it separates it from just a random drag brunch, but also everyone likes to laugh and
Yeah.
everybody needs to laugh. Laughter is healing and essential. So I think it has done well because of that.
And I like, because I think I've been to a couple, but I think what it does, it has it stand out compared to the other brunches we have here in Orlando.
Mhm. Yeah, it's fun and it's just, comedy, of course. when we talk about comedy queen, it's the same thing for that. But comedy is subjective. So
Hmm.
something that I find funny, you might not, and vice
Yeah.
versa. But still, if everything is based in a little bit of comedy, it's I feel like it's gonna be more appealing to
Hmm.
a larger audience.
So you are not just a performer, though. You also are the creator and co-owner of A&R Productions and the National Miss Comedy Queen pageant.
Which is now next month it will be in its 19th year, which is
19.
insane,
Wow.
insane. Um, so in 1999, my friend Roseanne, um, she had won this pageant in over in Port Richey area called Miss Comic Strip,
Hmm.
won in 98, and then she's like, April, come and do this pageant. I said, okay. So I got some stuff together and I did it and I won. And then that pageant ran for a few years. And but then the owner of that pageant passed away, and his lover at the time said, um, "Do y'all want to just take over this pageant? Maybe take it to Orlando?" And
Hmm.
we that was what we were originally going to do. Long story short, then a new person bought the bar, and they said, "Oh no, this is our pageant." And Roseanne and I were like, we were the first two winners of it, but we were like, you know what? Why don't we just start something new? And so in 2005 was our first Miss Comedy Queen, held at the Parliament House, and we were hoping it would do well and maybe even be good enough to do another one the next year. And it was, and then each year it's grown a little bit and gotten about year 7 or 8. Actually, in year 5, we started with a couple of little small preliminaries, and then it kept going, and now it is national. We've got 18 preliminaries, all in the over the country,
Hmm.
and we have about 40 contestants coming to compete in March.
So what inspired you to create that national pageant dedicated to comedy, though?
Because again, there's a lot of major drag pageantry systems out there, and I love all of them.
Hmm.
I'm a sucker for a pageant. But since there has never been one that was, again, much like the brunch, that was comedy based, um, I felt like that would be something completely different. Um, and at first, I didn't know that other people around the country and stuff were really going to take us serious. But after doing it for so long, it's really become quite a big thing, and it's very it's very fulfilling and very satisfying. And so we'll see who the 19th winner is going to be in about a month, a little over a month.
I know some girls that I know, well, one who I call my favorite queen of them all down here, like in Orlando, who inspires my drag is Adrian. I know she won a couple years back.
Yes, she's she competed in 2017, and got first runner up. And then she took a few years off, and she's like, I think I'm going to come back someday, but I got to get some stuff
Mhm.
figured out and get it together. And then she won, my goodness, was she 2022 or 2023? She was 2022.
I think that was 2022 because that was when I
Yeah.
just started moving to Orlando.
Exactly. So Tina Burner was the winner. She won in 2019,
Mhm.
but then COVID happened. So she enjoys having this bragging right because she is Miss Comedy Queen 2019, 2020, and 2021. So
Mhm.
then in 2022, Adrian won.
Yeah, and I remember something from hers that, well, I still remember today is that Dr. Octopus.
Oh, just incredible and a visual. That's what I like about it too. The pageant is you have to be funny and you have to be creative.
Mhm.
Now, if you're smart, you can be either of those. So it's not like all of our former winners have done a comedy number every single number. You know what I mean? I certainly don't. But it's based in comedy. And but it's still definitely, it's there's still points for how you look, and there's points for your gown being long enough and all the
Mhm.
things. So it's fun. It's so much fun.
So other than drag, you are a foodie and a home cook who
I am.
shares, as I was doing my research, some
Yes.
mouth-watering recipes, mixing
Yes.
up words right now,
That's the thing.
in April's Keto Kitchen. Did I say it
So
right? Or is it keto?
keto.
Keto.
Yes. So I'm absolutely not keto at the moment. However, I'm diabetic, so I find that when I'm doing a little better on keto and not eating the carbs and definitely no sugar, then my blood numbers are certainly a lot better.
Hmm.
Um, and then when I got into keto, I'm like, oh, I most of that was during COVID too, where I'm like, I'm not going out to eat. I'm going to just stay home and cook. And so let me make some recipes that I can share with people. And I've always been a foodie, and I love going out to eat, but I also love cooking pretty equally. And I'm kind of obsessed with food. I think about it all the time. I'm covered at the moment, but um, this whole arm is covered in produce tattoos. And it's it's been fun to kind of go back and revisit those recipes. Some of my chili is currently in my fridge as we speak.
What's your favorite dish that everyone has to try? Have you posted it yet?
Um, the um, the enchiladas are pretty incredible, and they have definitely been a crowd pleaser.
Mhm.
Green chili, or verde chicken enchiladas.
That
Mm.
sounds pretty good.
They're very tasty. And you can make them, I use the one carb tortillas, but you can just make them with regular ones if you're not necessarily trying to go low carb. But
Yes.
exactly.
Maybe I might have to try to cook enchiladas pretty soon from that recipe book.
It's good stuff.
So you host 80s Wednesday night, a night celebrating the best music, the fashion, and if you had to pick one 80s song that lifts up your entire drag persona,
Oh my
which would it
goodness.
be?
Okay. So I I had 80s night at the Parliament House when they were still open. That I of course I don't host it at the moment, but I do host 80s events whenever I can. It's my favorite genre. It's my favorite. Even the 80s music that I don't particularly like, I still like. You know what I mean? In fact, I'm going on the 80s cruise beginning of next month.
Ooh.
So I like to travel and go to concerts and go to as many 80s events as possible. If I had to, okay, I actually performed it earlier today, and that would probably be the song of my choice for many reasons, and that
Mhm.
would be Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
I
Uh,
saw I saw that one on like Shree's story and I was like, okay, April
yes,
really pulled this one out.
yes. And now, truth be told, so Cyndi Lauper is my queen. She
Hmm.
is, I have seen her live 33 times. I have extensive knowledge about her. She's my favorite of all time. Is Girls Just Want to Have Fun my favorite song by her? No.
No.
That being said, sometimes you have to, as you know, sometimes you have to do a song because you really want to do it, and sometimes
Yes.
you have to do a song that the people will know. And everyone knows that song and loves it, which is why I would pick that for my the song that would represent me because
Mhm.
everybody knows it, and I like the message. You know what I mean? And I'm a fun girl, and girls do want to have fun.
Girls do, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
Outside of drag, you also worked as a bartender at the legendary Parliament House for that had to be 26 years.
It was
Did I get that right?
25, but yes,
25 before
yeah,
its closure. What
it
was that
was
experience like?
incredible, incredible. I certainly missed the money, but I also missed the people, and it was just the thing about the Parliament House. It was so good because everybody at some point, no matter where they live, they come through Orlando. They might be coming to Disney, they might be coming to Universal, but just about every year, it seems like a lot of people come to Orlando, and a lot of people would only be here once a year. There was one guy from France that would come to Orlando once a year, and he would always come to Parliament House, and he would always see me, and it was cool because we became friends, and he didn't live here, he wasn't from here, but it was that recognizable face that he wanted to see, so it was magical. I wish it was still open. I know there is talks of uh, a resurgence and a new location, and I'm hopeful that that will happen because I definitely would like to get back behind the bar at some point.
I
Uh,
hear about it all the time. I'm just
yeah,
like, when,
exactly.
where? Yeah.
It's a win and where. So
Hmm.
but I'm still very much in with all the people that are behind it. So I'm still hopeful and my fingers are still crossed.
Well, hopefully it opens up back soon.
Exactly, exactly.
Outside of drag, you are also a photographer. What's your favorite thing to capture through the lens?
So that's what my degree is in. I went to the Savannah College of Art and Design. I graduated in 93. So that ages me a little bit.
Mm.
I'm actually proud of my age. I'm at this moment I am 52 years old and I don't feel it for the most part. So I like I like I when I was 20 I would have thought being 30 was old. And it is certainly not. And every year I
April, when you're in drag, you look younger than 52, and
thank
that's
you.
a compliment from
Thank
me.
you. I will take it. I will take it and I every year is a blessing.
Yes.
But photography wise, that's what I majored in. That's what my degree is in. I've also won the Wave Award for Best Photographer several years. Um, and it's photographs to me are about people and about faces.
Mhm.
I don't really, a landscape doesn't do anything for me. Architectural photography does nothing. It's about people, and specifically the eyes. So I started in um, when I moved from college and I moved back to Daytona. That's what started this whole journey. I was bartending at a gay bar in Daytona, and there was a couple girls there in the show, and they needed photos, and I was a photographer, and I'm like, this is perfect. And then I started photographing some of their friends, and then some of their friends, and so I for years I was basically a drag queen photographer. I've shot some of the girls at the Baton in Chicago, and I've traveled to Atlanta to shoot girls, and it's been in the world of drag.
Mhm.
At one point, I would say in the mid '90s, I was like one of the biggest drag photographers that there were, which I think is a very cool accomplishment.
Do you
Um,
still do it today?
I still do it today. I just had a shoot the other day. I don't do it like I used to. Um, I was, I don't really do any retouching in Photoshop,
Mm.
but I have people that do. So I usually just do the raw image and then give it to them. But nowadays you've got your phone. You can just take a good photo and you don't have to back in the day, in order to get drag work, you had to have your promos, your 8x10s, and then you'd send
Yes.
the clubs and get the bookings. And that's kind of a lost art, which I hate, but I certainly understand. And so now everything's just kind of done on a little ad and you put it out there on the social medias. It's a different thing.
I think I kind of see it today too, as talking with Katana when I used to get booked with her.
Yeah.
She likes more like the drag photos like I do, because
Yes.
it's easier to put on a background than taking something from like an Instagram filter and being like, here you
Correct.
go. I'm like, it's not gonna work. I've had that feeling with some of my drag artists that I booked for Nightmare Mayhem too, where they're
Yeah,
like, here's a phone picture. I'm like, damn it.
exactly.
Because you know you have to do the cutting out and everything.
You got to cut it out. You got to have, and sometimes the quality is so terrible that you just need, if everyone, that's my advice to all of you people out there, get yourself at least one good photo. And it doesn't have to, you should absolutely have it touched up and it should be perfect. However, it should look like you.
Yes. I think I actually have a photo shoot on Monday with Morgan.
Oh,
So
I love Morgan. Yeah, that's going to be great.
yeah, I've been planning it for a while. I was like, he's been wanting to take my pictures, so I was like, you know what? Let's do it
Very nice.
Monday.
Yeah, perfect.
So back to you. In 2022, you played Miss Howell in Gilligan's Island because I remember seeing that Ginger interview
Yes.
alongside not only icons such as Ginger Minge, but also Divine Grace. What was it
Yes.
like bringing that character to life?
That was fantastic. I've never considered myself an actor.
Hmm.
However, uh, what we do in drag, it's acting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but there's been no actual formal training, I guess I should say. So when I got cast in that role, one, I was very excited because I was Mrs. Howell,
Hmm.
and then Divine Grace was Mr. Howell, and she slash he is such a good actor, and all of our scenes were together. So it was very cool because she walked me through it and just made it so much easier for me and it was so much fun and I really really liked it. It was a very cool experience.
Do you ever think that we'll see more of you on theater or performing with Ginger with her productions?
I would like to yeah, I would love to. They it's usually mostly them doing the Golden Gals,
Hmm.
and that's already cast, but with Gilligan's Island they needed to branch out and have a few extras. So it was very cool that I got to be part of it, but also, um, and I've done a few little things in shows at the Fringe Festival and stuff. So but I would like to do some more acting in whatever form that takes. I'm certainly
Yeah.
open to it.
Well, you've hosted countless events. What's your secret to keeping audience engaged?
Um, Switching it up and not doing the same thing over and over. And that's why like I will have like now I've got a coming up next Sunday is a brunch that's all pink music. It's all celebrating pink,
Oh.
but it's also a we're encouraging people to wear pink because it's also going to part of the proceeds go to a breast cancer charity. So it's we're just calling it the pink brunch, and then I've done a Taylor Swift brunch, and I've done a Madonna brunch, and then I'm interspersing those with the comedy brunches. So I find in any show, you got to find out what the audience likes
Mm.
and then keep them happy, but also switch it up.
Make sure you don't stay in the same kind of stagnant.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So you've been in the game for years. How has drag changed since you first started, and where do you see it growing in the future?
Well, in when it started, you could only do a drag show in a smoky bar on a Saturday night at midnight. Now it's not, it's in restaurants. It is in, you know, non-typically gay establishments.
Mhm.
It's kind of where it's everywhere. And it's very cool because like today I'm one face and I did a brunch and then I have a show tonight and we were doing this interview. So
Mhm.
it's pretty cool. And then like I had the last 3 days off. So depending on how you work your schedule, you can maximize your time in drag. Now, I certainly did take the lashes off and took my nap and then put them back on, but and repowdered and stuff. But it's I love that that's like I was saying earlier, how all the different venues I get to have my hand in many pots.
Mhm.
It's it's wonderful because the people that I see on Tuesday I might not see anywhere else, but then the people I see on Saturday night are for that place, and
Yes.
the wider variety of people, but also I because I'm once a month here, once a month there, and so you don't feel like they're getting sick of you,
Mhm.
and it's always being able to keep it fresh, so to speak.
I feel
But
like what I've seen is like this drag like artistry in the world is always changing. Like these fans don't know what they're gonna get at any time.
yes, I also it's funny. There are people that are like, I only want classic drag, or I
Hmm.
only want this kind of drag. But what I love are there are so many different types of drag now, and that it comes in so many forms, and they're all good. And I love a show when they can have a little of everything. You know what I mean? Because there's something for everyone. And I just think that's amazing when that can happen.
And when people think of when let me phrase this question right. When
Sure.
people think of April Fresh years from now, what do you want your legacy to be in the world of drag?
I hope, okay, so this is, well, I think what's important is, and I've had people say this to me. They're because like someone is like, remember when you did this number and you wore this thing? And when I do the math, I'm like, oh, that I did that number 20 years ago. Yet there's still that left an impression. So they're
Mhm,
remembering it. And what an honor that is to have something that you have done in your art, whatever that may be, and they remember it. You know
mhm,
what I mean? So I feel like, if any of my performances in specific they have enjoyed, that's great, but I also want them to remember how I made them feel.
mhm.
That's what people say. I got to meet RuPaul at the very first DragCon, and it was me and my friend, and we had like 5 minutes with her in the little thing and took a picture and everything. She signed our CDs, and I remember how she made me feel. So it wasn't necessarily that I remember word from word what we talked about, but I remember that I left with a good feeling about her. So that's what I would like for my legacy to be, if people can remember that I made them feel good.
Well, I can tell you, like every time I see you is always the joy to my heart. It always puts a
Oh,
smile on my face, like I've said before. So,
thank you, thank you.
April, you've had so many incredible looks over the years. Each one is perfect blend of camp, glamour, and that signature fresh flair. Now, when you're creating new looks for the stage, what's your process? So, to start with a concept, fabric, or do you just wake up one day and be like, "This is me. I'm gonna gag the children tonight."
Gotcha. Well, there are certain numbers that I want to do, and for those, will have something, I might have something specific designed, whether it be a comedy number or a look-alike thing or something. So um, I have not been blessed with the ability to style wigs, and I have also not been blessed with the ability to sew. So I have people, if I have a styled wig, somebody else has done it, and I have paid them. And then if it's something that's custom,
Mhm.
I have definitely had someone else make it. So I might have an idea where this particular outfit I want made. And so then I'll go to someone. I have two or three people that sew for me, and I'll have tell them specifically what I want. Or if it's um, uh, like uh, in December, I was in New York, and the fabric selection at some of those stores in New York and the prices are fantastic compared to here. So I may or may not have only packed half of my suitcase when I went up, and I bought like five different 5-yard pieces of fabric and brought them back. So then with those, I'll be like, okay, I got this fabric. What do I want to do with it? And if I have a vision of what I want it to be, then I'll take it to someone and have them make it.
Putting all of that together just to make April fresh.
That's right. That is right.
Well, I'm gonna have our first break because next up I have a game for you.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let me make sure this is paused. Okay, so now that we've heard about all your creative genius, let's put it to the test. Welcome to a game I like to call Fresher Mess. And
Fresh or
base
mess?
Basically, this game and how it's work is we're gonna go down memory lane of all the looks I pulled off from your socials,
Okay.
and you're gonna judge your own looks. And I'm gonna show you about nine of these best outfits that you've had over the years. And all you have to do is tell me if it's fresh, a look that you absolutely love and would wear again, or mess, a look that should have left the laundromat in 1997.
Sounds good.
Okay, so what about this one?
That would be a fresh. Do we want description of each one or backstory, or do we just want a fresh or mess?
That would be great if you give us the backstory.
So that one is one of my more recent ones. The dress was made by Tasha Long, and it is also one of those that you can throw up and throw in your drag bag, and you don't have to wrinkle. It's not going to wrinkle or anything. And that was done by the drag photographer, who, interesting story, I did the very first photo shoot of her, and now I go to her to do my photos. So that's been kind of a full circle moment. But the background on this particular photo, she just zoomed in on the dress, and that's what the background is.
I think I love this look though.
Thank you.
I can
It's
say,
my favorites.
what about this one? We were
That
just
one,
talking about Cindy.
that's it. Well, that's supposed to be Boy George, and
Boy George.
I'm gonna say mess, and I'll tell you why. Um, I I have another Boy George photo where I think I look a lot more like him, and it's pretty spot on. So this
Hmm.
particular one, I think it's a cool piece of art, but I don't think it screams Boy George as much as it should.
Hmm.
So we're gonna say mess.
Mess with that one.
Yeah.
What about this one?
Um, we're gonna call that, we're actually gonna call that a fresh mess.
Tell me
Um,
the story.
I do. So that was an outfit that was given to me
Hmm.
by Lee Shannon, and I thought it matched the hair perfectly, and I do like it. Do I find it to be my most flattering look? Absolutely not. So it's if I'm ever put it this way, if I'm ever doing a 70s disco show, that would absolutely be the photo used. But
Yes.
it's a little too specific. But I've certainly got my use out of it.
About this one. This
That
one is actually one of my favorites because I see it every time on your promos.
Yes, that is probably my favorite photo. I have two that are my favorite of all time, and that is absolutely one of them. It's I like the hair, I like the punk rockness of it, but it's also still very pretty. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's probably my all-time favorite. That is also by the drag photographer. The hair is the one integration wig that I have, and I am wearing literally a trash bag.
And you can barely see it. It just looks like punk, kind of like emo with it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Where'd you get the hair from, by the way?
It's integration, which is they do oh goodness, so many wigs for a lot of the RuPaul girls, and it's a well-known wig designer.
Hmm.
I want to say he's based out of Virginia, but I know him. He's excellent, and the product is top quality.
And then we have this one. Tell us this story.
Yeah, well, you had to dig deep for that one.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to briefly interject and just compliment you because you have dug deep and you have certainly done your research on me, and I feel like you are excellent at doing these interviews. So,
Thank you.
absolutely.
I try. I want to get to know more about like the drag entertainers I look up to. So,
Yeah, how cool. This is a number I do for it's the song Ireland from Legally Blonde.
mhm.
And that's literally buy in the back bag Amazon um Irish girl costume, basically Party City. Um, but it works for that number. So, I don't necessarily encourage you to go out and buy a costume in a bag. However, for the right thing, it works.
So this one
So
a fresher mess.
I think we're going to still say mess. But you will see me anytime there's any St. Patrick's Day show, I will be doing that song.
Yes. About this one.
We're gonna say, surprisingly, I'm gonna say mess, and I'll tell you why. Again, it's a pretty good Cyndi Lauper. It is a recreation of one of her photos by Richard Avedon that was on the in Rolling Stone magazine cover. However, I wish I would have actually had the outfit that she was wearing made instead of
Mhm.
just something that was uh, according to the type of thing she wore. And I also have a better wig since that photo. So to me, it's not the great. I could see how it could be better, but I mean, hey, it's a pretty good Cindy's photo. But we're gonna still say mess.
Mess with that one.
Yeah.
This one. This one's from years ago.
This is from years ago. And I'm gonna say fresh because I wanted this particular outfit. Backstory to that. Um, so I met a guy, he was a costume designer, he was Australian. I'm sure you've seen the movie Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Hmm.
Well, it was based on three real drag queens. And this guy, his name was Graham, he was the designer or a designer for the actual three drag queens. But
Ooh.
then he lived here in Florida for a while, and he created that for me. It has since then fallen apart. However, I have had something very similar remade. But yeah, I think that's a fun costume, and you know, how more holiday oriented can you get? So that's going to be
Yes.
red.
Oh, that one.
This is also going to be both fresh and mess. I think that dress that I'm wearing, Gidget Galore also made me that, and that is lots of my old concert t-shirts that have been put together into one gown. That is also
Hmm.
the gown I wore at the taping of the finale of season 7 of RuPaul's Drag Race. However, I don't, my hair is a mess and my makeup is a mess. And so fresh for the dress, mess for the photo.
I can see what you mean with like the dress though. Do you
Yeah,
still do you still have it
I
today?
still have it. I still have it. Yeah,
It's fun when you get to put like memorabilia into your own outfits too.
100%.
How about this one?
That's going to be a mess too, because it's basic. I
Hmm.
think I look pretty there. That was probably one of my first photo shoots with the drag photographer, but that's not typically hair that I wear, and that's just a dress from Amazon. And I feel like I have better.
Yes. I
Yeah.
can I can because I've always seen you wear over the top with every outfit that you do, so I can see what you mean.
Yes, it's just basic.
Hmm. Our last one of the
Uh,
night.
no, that is definitely fresh. That would be the other one I consider the most my one of my two favorites. The one with the pink hair and then this one. I had that dress made, and I had basically a vision of having a photo taken in it, and this photo is even better than what I was expecting. So I'm very, very happy with that one.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, out of all the looks that you've worn over the years, even if the ones I've shown tonight or a different one, what is your favorite and why?
Um, hmm. Well, other than those two photos that I really like for being photos, I will say if you dig deep, you might still be able to find it. I had a dress that I actually constructed. It was for Miss Comic Strip. It was my evening gown, and it was
Hmm.
made out of nothing but Dorito bags, um, at Cool Ranch specifically. And I used to perform Constant Craving by Katie Lang in that. And that's one of those numbers that people will say to me, "Oh, I remember when you did Constant Craving. I think of you every time I eat Doritos." And so I can't do it at a lot of the bars because it cuts down below my cheeks and my ass is out. And so not every bar is can you do that in.
Yeah. Okay, April, I need you to take a journey with me. We're
Okay.
stepping through the underworld portals and traveling back in time, deep into the past. Ready?
Yep.
Picture it. You are a little boy stepping on the stage for the very first time in your own first musical. What was little April like as a kid?
Oh goodness. As a kid, I was actually fairly shy. Um, I grew up in Lake County, Florida,
Hmm.
and went to a very small school. But I was well liked, but I was very shy and very demure. Um, but that's actually something that, well, one at age 16-ish, driving to Orlando and being part of the Rocky Horror Picture Show helped get me out of my shell. And then so did drag, where that's, and I don't really know what it is, but I think it's like a persona you're putting on. And it's certainly helped me to be a lot less shy, so to
Yes.
speak. Hmm.
And growing up in Lake County, Florida, I can imagine there were challenges, but also some formative experience that shaped the star we know today. What was it like coming out to not only your friends, but to your family?
It was interesting. As I feel like probably a lot of the same thing happens with a lot of little gay boys.
Hmm.
First, they start telling the girls, some of their girlfriends, and then they, my I didn't really come out to my family till after college. I Let's just say they weren't really surprised.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm blessed with a wonderful family. My dad has passed, but my mom and my brother,
Oh, I'm
everybody's very,
sorry.
very cool. Oh, he was 91. He had a very good life.
It sounds
Uh,
like a good life.
exactly, exactly. And it's it's interesting, you know, just the generations because I graduated high school in 1990. So the 80s is when I'm in high school, and in Lake County was a very different time and place then than it was now. And you couldn't really be as out as you would like to be. And in certain ways, I think it's easier to be out these days.
Mhm.
It's never easy, but yeah, it definitely had its challenges, but I clearly I have overcome them.
And then if we fast forward to today, how do you identify and how has that journey of self-discovery evolved over the years for you?
Um, I identify that's a good question. How do I identify? I'm definitely a gay man. I'm also a showgirl. I don't think of myself as a woman in
Mhm.
any way. But I like to play one on TV. I do. I love the fact that I can do drag, especially at this point, and make a living at it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I thought it was always going to be something that you did a little bit on the side, but not that it's not a struggle to pay a bill here and there. However,
Yes.
it's um, it's my main living right now, which is very cool, and I never would have expected, especially at this time in my life.
Let's talk about the moment everything changed as we're going into your drag career. You originally started as the name Alana Vaughn. What led you to drag in the first place, and was there a defining moment when you knew this was your calling?
Now, again, I would like to reiterate that you have dug deep. If you found that out, you dug deep, which good for you.
Like I told you, I was doing a lot of research preparing for your interview,
That's
so
right. I'm curious where that came about. But anyway, so two things. I had been in been photographing the girls. I knew I had had some previous Rocky Horror experience. This is 1994 we're talking. And I'm like, I want to do drag too because all my friends are drag queens.
Hmm.
And at the time, under this wig, I'm completely bald at the moment. However,
Yes.
back in the day, I had long hair, and it was not very pretty hair, but it was long hair. Um, and I'm like, I felt like I had an advantage of the other girls because I had my own hair. I didn't have to wear wigs. Boy, was I wrong.
Mhm.
But anyway, so I chose the name Alana Vaughn. There it is. It's out in public now. Alana is the percussionist from the Thompson Twins, one of my favorite 80s groups. And Vaughn, I talked about Kelly Ripa and my love for her earlier. Her character's name on All My Children was Haley Vaughn. So I combined those two. And I started doing drag. I would do a few little shows with if my friends were booked in a show, I would go do the free spot or whatever. And then I realized, okay, this might be for me, but it's not for me yet. This
Yeah.
isn't, I don't know what I want to do or where I want to go with this because I'm not a dancer. I'm not, um, so I stopped for a while, and then I'm like, okay, when I was Alana, nobody could spell or pronounce my name correctly. So I'm like, I would need to come up with a new persona. It's got to be something cute and fun, and nobody can mess it up. And then I'm like, I had actually done I was already working at Parliament House, and they had a turnabout, and I did a number that was a comedy number for that. And
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, okay, maybe comedy is my forte. So then I'm like, let me f find a fun name, and that's how that all started. So she's actually been in drag since 1999, but the origin started in 94 for about 3 or 4 months, maybe 6 months.
And of course, this transformation didn't stop there. How did Alana become the legendary April Fresh we know today?
Paying attention to the other girls, paying attention to how makeup should be done. And by no means am I saying that I'm an amazing makeup artist.
Mhm.
But you know how when you're around pageantry and you're around other girls, that's my favorite thing about the doing a drag show is fun, but when you get to kiki with the girls in the dressing area, um, that's when you pick up tips and you
Mhm.
pick up, what product should I maybe use? And oh, I could do this with my hair, and I could, I love that aspect. So I took several years to learn some of those things before I put myself back on the stage.
And you've been at this point, you've been doing drag for a while. And as you know, any industry, there comes a lot of change.
Yes.
What was the drag scene like when you started compared to now? Are there things that you miss about the old days?
Um, yes and no. There were like I think there was the two places in Jacksonville that did shows, and the three places in Orlando, and the three places in Tampa, and they were more few and far between.
Mhm.
So I think it's a beautiful thing now that there are more opportunities out there if you take them.
Mhm.
Um, and back then, like I mentioned earlier, it was pretty much only on a Saturday night at midnight in a smoky bar,
Mhm.
where now it's all over the place, as well as now the word drag means so many different things, where before it was um, pretty much a man who lived as a man dressed up like a woman or doing a show, or I mean there were many trans drag performers as well, but now there's so many different kinds and so
Mhm.
many different genres, and it's really a beautiful thing.
And drag could be, it well, is, as I know, a demanding career, but it's not just what you do, it's also who you are. How do you balance that drag persona with your everyday life?
Um, it's pretty easy for me, I think, because I've been in it so long. There are a lot of people that, because they knew my boy name before drag, it's hard for them to call me April because they still call me Locke. Or the other way around, there's a lot of people that know April, and if I'm not in drag, they're still going to call me April.
Hmm.
Fortunately, none of that really bothers me. I don't want to be called Locke when I'm in drag on in public, just because that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Some people call me April all the time, and that's totally fine.
And now with all of your success, have you ever wanted to take things? Because I know Ginger, one of your friends, got on to the show, but have you ever wanted to go on RuPaul yourself?
I have certainly thought about it. Um, I think there are certain aspects of it that if I was cast on it, I could do pretty well. I feel like people would like me on it. However, again, I can't sew. I
Hmm.
can't do hair. There's a lot of things that seem to be requirements, and I don't think I could do very well in those
Yeah.
challenges, you know. It would be fun, and and every time I watch it, I'm sure with all of us, I think we watch it and we're like, okay, if that was the challenge, what would I do and how well would I do? So it's a great platform.
Hmm.
I'm curious as to how long it will be around. As some people have already said it's been around too long. I don't know if that's the case, but
Seems to be going on for quite a
yeah.
while. World of
I
Wonder's
mean,
not
we
stopping.
we keep tuning in, don't we?
Yes.
And I mean, the show has certainly taken a lot of turns, and I I'm here for it. I always enjoy it.
I feel like when RuPaul is ready to retire, he'll probably have somebody else take over for him. So,
Probably, probably.
looking back at where you started to where you are now, what's something you've learned about yourself through this journey, and what do you hope your legacy will be when future queens look at you?
Um, Goodness, something I have learned is i- if you mess up in something, don't get too caught up in it.
Hmm.
Um, I've learned to stay out of the drama as much as possible because that's, you know, uh, sometimes just opening up Facebook is exhausting because
Yeah.
of all the politics and the foolishness, we'll say. So I try and stay pretty neutral. But as far as what was the second part? What do I want
What
people
do
to remember?
you want future queens or fans to take back when they look at your impact and legacy?
Um, that I made them smile and that I made them feel good.
Mhm. In
Hmm.
April, we've traveled through time, relived your journey, and seen how you became the iconic queen you are today. But there's one major part of your legacy that we have to talk about because you didn't just slay the stage, you built one for yourself. So
That is true.
I want to take a look through another portal leading to 2005, the first ever National Miss Comedy Queen pageant that we talked about earlier at
Yep.
the legendary Parliament House. What was that moment that inspired you, if you can go into more detail, or something you didn't say before? And what was that
Yeah.
first year like?
So so Roseanne Deschanero, she worked with me at Parliament House as well. She was a cocktail server, and she's the one that crowned me Miss Comic Strip. And I was not comfortable on a microphone, not
Mhm.
yet. She would MC things and little shows here and there, and so I would have never started the pageant if it weren't for her. Because I was doing more of the paperwork and behind the scenes stuff, and she was the host. And then so I think she, around 2010, once we've done it about 5 years, 6 years, um, not only did she pretty much quit drag, she moved away. I just talked to her the other day. We're still friends, but she's like, I'm gonna need to kind of step out. And that's about the time Addison Taylor, who was our second winner, kind of stepped in to her
Mhm.
role. So then Roseanne has still come back every couple of years and stuff, but she's very proud with the direction we have taken the pageant. So I really needed her at the beginning to start the pageant. However, um, now it's just taken off so much, and it's really insane. And sometimes I think, okay, how much longer can I do this? And then, okay, let's do it one more year. And then that year comes around. Okay, let's do it one more year. And here we are at year 19. So it's been very cool. But back in those days, you would never catch me on a microphone. But
Mhm.
fortunately, in the past, 8, 9, 10 years, I have gotten very comfortable on the mic. And now that's uh that's a game changer for drag, because there's a lot more opportunities if you can
Mhm.
host.
And I know this isn't any kind of just regular drag pageant. It's known as the hardest to prepare because, as you said, comedy can be, depending on who you are, I might say something, but somebody else might not get it, which we also call, as I got this from Ginger Minge, regional.
Yes, yes.
So, what
Um,
advice, how do contestants navigate that challenge, and what advice would you give to queens that want to compete?
so I would have them go on our website, that's misscomedyqueen.com,
Mhm.
and really look at the point breakdown because, like there's 30 points for presentation. 10 of that is the comedic value of it. 10 of that is the staging and all the different things. So if you really look at the scores and you're smart about it and you don't allow for the judges to really take off a lot of points, then you have no choice but to do good.
Mhm.
So if you have to look at it like a math equation.
I think over the years, like Miss Comedy Queen has grown some incredible performers. Like we know, as I mentioned, one of my great friends, not Adrian, and then you have Ginger. You've also had like you as well. I think didn't Gidget win as well?
Gidget won. Gidget was the third winner,
Do you have
2000.
a favorite winner or particularly unforgettable performance that still makes you laugh today?
I there's so many. There's so many great performances. I hate that like there are video copies of all of them somewhere, but I wish they were all just available, and
Mhm.
which they're not. Also, though, if you go to that website, you can watch the final night, actually prelim nights as well, of the last 2 years. And those are for free. So check those out. But the I definitely don't have a favorite former because it's been really strange and awesome is that let's say we need somebody to be a little more administrative. Well, then
Mhm.
the next year, the winner is very administrative. And then we need the good belly laughs funny. The next year's winner seems to be that. So it's kind of they've all been great in their own ways and they've all added their own little flair to it. So it's very I'm very proud when I look at the page that has the pictures of all the formers on it. I'm like, what this is it's quite an accomplishment.
And beyond just celebrating comedy and drag, National Miss Comedy Queen gives back another major way. What I heard about, you've helped raise money for charities such as the Barber Fund. What,
Yes.
how does that partnership come about and why is that important to you?
Well, our so winner of 2009 was Tweeka Weed. Tweeka Weed was also John Barber. John Barber is the what the Barber Fund is named after.
Mhm.
So he won in 2009. He was at his step down in 2010 and then passed away shortly thereafter. Had cancer. And so that the Barber Fund, Blue Star and Tweeka, John Barber,
Mhm.
actually kind of created the Barber Fund right before his passing. And that has been able to give so much money to other local cancer survivor or cancer patients. And so that's been it always feels good to give back a little.
Yeah.
Uh, the Barber Fund is still in existence, but I think it's kind of dormant at the moment because
Mhm.
after COVID and funding and all these different things, it's still around, but and I'm hoping it gets a good resurgence. But regardless of that, for a good 10, 15 years, it was such a pleasure to raise money that we all knew was going back to not only a good cause, but also in our local community as well.
And I think that's what I like that you do the most too, is that you also are able to give back to like not only just your fans, but to charity as well.
Yes, it's important. It's important, I think. And it just feels good, you know?
Hmm. And this pageant has already grown so much since 2005. Do you see it expanding further, maybe going international?
Well, I guess it's not quite international, but we did have a Puerto Rico preliminary for for two seasons.
Hmm.
Um, but that's still national. It would put it this way, I am open to wherever it may take us.
Yes.
You know,
You might have more doors open to you. We just see
exactly.
where the route goes.
Exactly. Definitely open to it.
So, April, you're not just a queen, and as I said before, you're a leader, a mentor, a drag mother to many people out here because people look up to you
Mhm.
and so much, doing so much in this community. With all the experience that you have, it's time for you to dish out some friendly advice for our rising stars before they step on to Drag Race, the biggest stage of their careers. In another
Okay.
game I like to call Fresh Advice.
All right.
So before we get into that game, I'm gonna have another break for us just for like 5 minutes. Is that
Sounds
okay?
good. Yep.
Okay, let's see. Okay. So back when I was talking, we were talking about fresh advice. And here's how this game works. I'm
Okay.
gonna give you the name of a queen, one of our rising superstars, and you have to give them one piece of motherly wisdom before they take RuPaul's Drag Race for Storm.
Perfect.
Think of it as their final pep talk before they walk into that workroom.
Sounds good. I will do my best.
In April, don't hold back. They might need this in
Will
the
not hold
future.
back. Will not hold back.
Okay, so I have my first one. My sister, who's one of my very like best friends, Mystery Hugga.
I love Mystery Hugga. My advice to her would be, um, don't take things so personal because you are very well liked and you are extremely talented and you are ha in your short years of drag, you have already overcome so many obstacles that some people never even get to do.
We have Addie Love.
I love Addie Love too. Um, Addie Love, what notes do I have for you? Be more confident in yourself because
Mhm,
same advice where you're so good and people already like you and allow them to like you.
mhm. Natalia Taylor.
Natalia's a pro. I
Yeah.
I have no
Coming
advice
from the
for
House of Taylor right there.
Yeah, exactly. She's a pro. Um, and okay, Natalia, when you are at Secret's Hideaway next, do not do Valerie by Amy Winehouse because I do not want you falling again and breaking your arm.
Wait, she fell?
She fell and she broke her arm.
Oh.
Awful. Awful. Stop breaking things,
Yeah.
Natalia. There, that's my advice.
Well, I think the advice we could take from that is Natalia, be careful when you lip sync on the main stage.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct, correct.
Remnant Mogul.
Remini, oh, no notes. She's fantastic. Um, Notes for her would be she's so good. Um, Zero notes. She's perfect.
Well, the next one is actually me.
Okay, your notes. This is a
Yeah.
good one. This is a good one too. Because I've been able to see it here on this, we'll call it a podcast. Um,
Yes.
you have a beautiful smile, and in mo most of your drag photos, you're very serious. So I would
Mhm.
like to see that smile translate into your drag persona more.
Yeah, I like to include that smile. People tell me all the time, they're like, "You have RBF, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yes,
I appreciate the advice though, April.
absolutely.
Any day now?
I actually don't know Annie Day now. I am working with her next month. So I'm looking forward to meeting her. So
Mhm.
I don't actually know her yet. So pass.
Alice Marie Grip.
Oh, another one that's all these people you're listing, I absolutely love. Alice is, boy, is she a rising star.
Mhm.
Uh, she is incredibly smart and people like she wins people over easily. She's very likable. My advice to her would be um, take your ideas, whatever those are, and just reel them in and do what you want to do.
Karma Rose.
Another one I love. Um, Karma is a great dancer.
Mhm.
I would like for Karma to really push her dancing and push her acrobatics and stuff.
Mhm.
And she's so much fun as well. Um, I enjoy her wardrobe, but that could always be better. But I could say
Mhm.
that about absolutely anybody.
Yeah. Wardrobe gets better over time. It just depends on if you have a good designer in your back pocket.
Correct. And they say good drag ain't cheap or cheap drag is no good and good drag is not cheap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Victoria motherfucking Cage. That's another one of my closest friends.
I love her too. Now, this is not a personal advice. This is if she's going on the RuPaul Drag Race stage, and that would be just experiment with breast pads and hips and different things.
Mhm.
Because I know Michelle would not go for um, the body beautiful that is Victoria,
Yeah.
but see, I love it because I like that she does her own thing. She's always, and what a bundle of energy too. She's so fun. But that would be something that would be nice to see if her at least attempt to see if she was into it or not.
Yeah. Different. Let's step into the new, see what works.
Exactly.
And last but not least, Juno Vibrance.
Juno's another pro. She was first runner-up to Comedy Queen one year. Juno, I love because she already tries all the different hair colors and all the different hair lengths and all the different kinds of costuming. My only advice to her would be go even further and bigger and keep going because she's already incredible.
In April, before we wrap up this incredible night, I have one final question for you.
Sure.
You've had such an unbelievable journey from a young performer to Lake County to a trailblazer in the drag world. National pageant creator, a comedy queen, and all-around icon. If you could take a look back at all the stuff that you've done for yourself, and not only just for yourself, but the community, at everything that you accomplished, what are you most proud of?
Um, it would have to be Miss Comedy Queen.
Mhm.
I have had several people that say they don't really go to drag shows, they don't really like drag pageantry, but they come to Miss Comedy Queen every single year and it's their favorite event of the year. And that alone means something so much to me. So it would probably be that because again, it's based on laughter and laughter is healing and laughter makes you younger. My one other thing I'd like to say, I don't, as we get older, I notice when I have these little lines and stuff
Mhm.
here, but I don't filter them out of my photos because when I take a photo and I post it, and I notice those wrinkles, that means I'm smiling. And if I'm
Nice.
smiling, I am happy. And so I think I look at those more of a thing that I have earned rather than a flaw.
Mm.
Uh, so that's also advice to everybody is don't be afraid of laugh lines and crow's feet because it means you're happy. And don't be afraid to smile and laugh because it keeps you younger and it's good for your heart and your soul.
Yeah. In April, I'm just gonna say you've done everything, and I'm proud of all that you accomplished, and you do it so fiercely and so beautifully. And I want to say thank you for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and your heart with all of us tonight. You are forever legendary, and everything I see from you is I just can't wait to see what's next like in the story from you.
Well, thank you so, so much. This has been a total pleasure, and I'm glad it worked out and we got to do it.
Yes, thank you. I've been waiting for this interview. You're one of the ones I've been waiting to do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I will look forward to sharing it and reposting it.
And for you spooky fans out there, all of April, where you can follow her, where you guys can tip her as well, will be posted down in the description. And this interview is going to come out, as I believe, 3 weeks from now.
Perfect.
Yeah. And of course, a huge thank you to all of you spooky fans out there for tuning in tonight. We love each and every one of you, and we'll see you next time for another Unholy Encounters.